Yo, and we back after a long hiatus.
We back like we never left.
Hey y'all, we've been busy, just life, shit. We got some other shit in the works that we're kind of cooking up. So presidents over all this other good stuff. But we back. We back.
Yeah, and we've been watching a little bit of the finals. A little bit. I've caught a couple games.
Well, I think the last one we left off anything was probably like the second round.
Yeah, has it been? Yeah.
It's been a minute. It has been about a cool little minute here. And also I think as we know now, the Bucks and the Suns are in the finals. I think, I don't know, I think you think the same, that tomorrow, Tuesday, will be the last day of the NBA season. I think so too. I don't think there's going to be no game 7. I still don't understand where these Kobe Bryant comparisons are coming from to Devin Booker. He needs to hit the weight room more. That's evident. And to be real, I think me and you were talking about it before, saying how easy it is to probably score in today's NBA. And I think that is true. I'm not saying we could go out there and get 40 or 50, but I'm saying I think we could get a bucket. That's just people that can shoot and know how to play basketball. I think anyone that knows how to play basketball can go out there and get a bucket in today's NBA. I don't think you go out there and get 40 if you're just some Joe Schmoes like us, but
right.
I think we go out there and get a bucket. But my point to bring that is, yeah, Devin Booker could score. He's crafty. He has all the moves. He has all the tools in the world. But as we saw, that last play down the stretch in the fourth quarter, he got manhandled by Jrue Holiday. And Jrue Holiday is obviously a bigger guard, probably compared to Devin Booker, as far as physically, and literally just stole the ball from under him. He probably should have pulled up earlier than that.
Definitely should have.
But that comes. I think that also comes with an experience in those kind of situations. But granted, both of those teams are inexperienced in that situation, so that can't be a little blurry there. You look fine to me.
There we go. Okay, I was just trying to unblur myself for the lovely ladies out there. No. No, yeah, not to cut you off. You bring up some good points. One, I have some people ask me, like, hey, questers, that's what they call me. You think you can go get a bucket in today's NBA? And part of me is like a little disrespected by that. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Yes, I could go get a bucket right now. I'm retired, haven't played competitively in like 7 years now, but I could go get a bucket. It's not hard to get a bucket in today's NBA. It's
especially with like how defense is.
Yeah.
I do believe, give me a wide open 3, I'll knock it down. I do.
100%.
And so I think I could get a bucket in today's NBA. And like I said, I don't think I'm getting 30. I don't even think I might not even get 10. But I think I could get a 3 or 2 or maybe even 5 points.
I know you can hit spot up off ball shots. But like if you watch,
Tucker could get those. I think I could get me at least one.
Right. If you stand there and just wait for it to come to you, someone else creates, you're hitting jumpers. On top of that, the rotational, there's some decent defenders like IQ wise in the NBA, but a lot of them don't give a ton of effort. And so all you have to do is like pump fake, take a dribble. The mid range is wide the fuck open in this era. So
and Chris Paul, yeah. I think is and even Chris Middleton and Giannis too. I think they're showing, they're actually really showing that the mid range has a place in today's NBA.
And I think it always has. I think we haven't we like this stage, seeing these dudes go off, so to speak, when this is the only basketball people can watch. I think it hopefully can be a good impact on the game going forward for these young kids to see, hey, if you're just gonna run people off 3-point line, and then dudes are at the rim, that mid range is wide open. I think a lot of the Devin Booker Kobe comparisons is the difficult mid range shots that he's shooting, but to be quite frank, I don't think they're that difficult because he literally is just shooting pull up jumpers like in practice. And there's a couple of them that are hard, like over Giannis and stuff, but he's coming down and he knows no one can touch him, and he knows the big man isn't even close to him. And so he just comes off and he just shoots a pull up midi. So the fact that he's shooting middies, I feel like people want to give him like more of that Kobe Jordan. I don't hear anyone saying he's Jordan.
Yeah,
but you know, I think, and Booker, he shot tremendously in the last game, 4 and 5 third quarters. It feels like he hasn't even missed. And here's my thing. And I talked to a lot of smug Suns fans, and this is why I'm quote unquote rooting for the Bucks. I called Bucks in 5. I was wrong. Bucks in 6. My apologies. But it was because the Bucks are basically eating the best punches of the Suns. And if Devin Booker doesn't go 7 for 7 in game 4, from the 3 in the third quarter, the Bucks are blowing them out by 30. And so it's like the Bucks can withstand the Suns' best punch, and their best punch right now seems to be Devin Booker hitting everything in a small spurt. And so that's always why I thought the Bucks, like, don't count them out. Smug Suns fan, Suns and 4 guy, you know, everyone was saying Suns and 4. It's like, y'all need to chill. When it goes back to Milwaukee, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. And we talked about this, you know what I
mean? Speaking of punch, I'm about to stir the punch with my dong right now. Yeah, I also think another that has to do with age. It's obvious, and like I said, they're both not in. Both teams never been in this situation at all, as far as in the finals. But Milwaukee is significantly older than Phoenix. I do believe that plays a role in this. They do have a 2-time MVP, and Jrue Holiday, I think, probably is, you know, that X factor for the Bucks. Obviously, which is evident because last few years when you know, Milwaukee's played in the playoffs, I mean, they missed that one piece, that one tough-nosed point guard. They have him now. Whether they win again next year, that's, you know, we'll talk about that another day. But today, I do believe that tomorrow that they will leave, they'll end this season as NBA champs, and well deserved. I mean, you know, especially in a 2-year stint from 2020 to 2021, where the pandemic happened. It had to change the whole dynamic of the season, both seasons really. Last year, you know, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe. No, I'm lying. They lost in the second round in the Eastern Conference semis, and, you know, coming off a time where we could probably see no one was able to get into a gym, no one had access to their own personal gym. So that kind of played a role in, you know, the Lakers winning their 17th title, which, you know, a lot of us, I don't count. I mean, I don't count. Y'all know how I feel about the bubble. And then this year, you know, cutting down 10 games and then having to figure out, you know, no fans. I think that does make it a lot difficult to play in an arena full of fans compared to no fans throughout the whole season. So maybe that also could have helped out to a lot of shit with teams' records. But then once, you know, fans started slowly being integrated back in, I think that adapt to that. But, you know, in a season where, you know, a lot of the heavy hitters got hurt, you know, even before the playoffs or within the playoffs, you know, that says a lot. But, you know, we all know that winning is about luck, you know, opportunity, and that's what kind of it is. So I do think the Bucks take it tomorrow. Giannis is MVP. Do think, and, you know, Jrue Holiday was really the X factor of this series.
You know who I want to give a shout to? My dog, Bobby Portis. It's funny because Bobby Portis, he got like no burn in the series previous, and then stays ready, stays locked in, and then comes out in the Sun series and gives them, you know, just a kick in the pants. Like he's aggressive. Jrue Holiday is a great defense player, but he kind of just stays within himself. You know, he's even keel. But Bobby Portis comes into the game. He's been hitting a couple big threes the last couple games. But just, you know what? And he also provides a rebounding presence when Brook goes out the game. And that's one of the biggest differences. Someone alluded to it on one of the sports shows the other day about how second chance points, it's like not even close. It's like the Bucks are getting 10 plus more opportunities per game than the Suns just because of offensive rebounds. And so, like I said, when Booker, now I'm gonna go off on another tangent. Monty Williams said, he was asked, well, Booker had a great game in game 5. How do you think he plays or whatever? He said, yeah, he played good, but we get isocentric sometimes. And that to me is not the Suns' MO. I think they're at their best when they're passing up a good shot for a great shot. And then when Booker gets his head down and says, I'm gonna go Kobe, the rest of the guys just stand there.
And he's not Kobe. Kobe would have. Kobe scores somewhere between 40. There's usually a win behind that, even though it's a tough 40. There's a win behind that.
And he plays D.
Sure.
I'm not saying Booker's the worst defender, but he's not.
Kobe was all-team defensive player almost every year of his career. So
yeah,
that's where my whole thing with this Devin Booker. We'll get another thing on that, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and so it's Devin Booker can have his great shooting performance, especially in those third quarters, last couple games, but in reality, if he misses, the Bucks get the rebound. If the Bucks start to, like Chris Middleton starts to miss or something, the Bucks can still get their own rebound and then get second chance opportunities. And that's a huge key difference. If the Suns are hitting all their shots, sure, they can win. But the Bucks don't have to play perfect against them, and they can still get opportunities to win. And I think that's a huge difference after games 1 and 2. I watched all game 1. I think it was Father's Day. Went to my dad's to watch it. And the Bucks were just switching everything and then putting Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis on an island against Chris Paul or Devin Booker, and then they were hitting shots. And if they just let them do that all series, it would have been 4-0 Suns. But the Bucks have, changed their defensive philosophies and their offensive philosophies by figuring out, get Chris Middleton a mismatch with Giannis and have Giannis just get them in a pick and roll, and then you have to pick your poison. I mean, the Suns don't have the horses on defense to just one-on-one against like Chris Middleton and Giannis, whereas the Bucks do have that against the Suns, whereas PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday can literally guard CP3 and Devin Booker straight up one-on-one. That's why they still have to get the pick and roll. That's what the NBA is all about. But now they're playing it differently, and then the Bucks have figured them out offensively, plus have been playing with more hustle and pizzazz. I really don't have a dog in this fight. I could kind of care less who wins, but I'm a Giannis fan. I've always liked Giannis, my third favorite player in this era. And I'm obviously not a Suns fan. I think the curse of Joe Johnson is still alive and fresh, but I would like to see some of these diehard Suns fans like my dad and, shout out Henny and our Heinous in a sense. Our Heinous, you're kind of a bandwagon if you're listening to this, but there's a couple people that I know have been rooting for the Suns for a long time and deserve a championship. But there's a lot of other smug Suns fans who just started saying they're beating everybody. I'm like, no, you've literally beaten every single series. They've had their top 1 or 2 players hurt or literally not even playing. And then Giannis hyperextends his knee right before the finals, and he shouldn't have probably even played at all. And he's playing,
he's a freak, so
right. So it's like, it's just the smugness for me. You know what I mean? Let's stop the Devin Booker, Kobe comparisons, and just enjoy your team in the finals for one more game as the time we're recording this.
And I don't think we'll ever see it again. Chris Paul, this was Chris Paul's. I got to think. I'm about to get into this whole thing with Chris Paul right now, but this is Chris Paul's window. I think it's definitely closed after this season. I don't see it next year. The Suns actually going to the finals again. I don't see it. Lakers going to come back healthy. If Ben Simmons does go to Golden State, which they kind of threw that out there, they don't know if it's true or not, that's going to be a monster to deal with. If Anthony Davis does, get healthy, Lakers are going to be an issue. If Kawhi goes to Dallas, I think Dallas is going to be the favorite to win it all. But if not, I still Clippers, and if he does get healthy and, get his MRI situated, that's definitely going to be an issue with the Clippers. So that, let's see with that. But back to Chris Paul, as y'all recall, I was such a hard advocate for him to be MVP of the league for the regular season. I still believe that. I still do think he took such a shitty team and made them number 2 in the West. And that's crazy. Without him, this Sun team would not even be they wouldn't have sniffed the playoffs this year. And by saying that, I don't know what the hell happened to him these last, 3 games. He played well in the first 2. He didn't play great. Played what? No, he had a 40-point game, didn't he?
He killed game 1. I know that. He had like 36.
Something like yeah, something like that. And so I just don't know what happened to him. I made a joke to one of my boys saying that I think he looked like he's shaving points because he didn't look like he was playing too hard. It didn't look like he wasn't playing, not. It just looked like he played the bare minimum in those last 2 games. He didn't look like he was afraid. It just looked like he wasn't really doing much.
Right.
And that to me, maybe I'm just, talking foolish, but it seemed like he wasn't really in all of it. So I just didn't see that. So he just wasn't the MVP of the year that, you would expect in the finals. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's funny. Yeah, like you said, you alluded to, we've actually been talking to Chris Paul on the pod for a while now, give him his props. He's the engine that makes his team go. We've seen it in these playoffs in a sense where when he's on and clicking, what's sad is DeAndre Ayton's like a complete afterthought if Paul's not getting him the ball. And to me, that's such disrespect to the former number 1 overall pick, DeAndre Ayton, they don't even let him shoot jumpers. Like he's not, I don't even want to call him the 3rd option on this team. I feel like Cam Payne comes in the game and thinks he's the number 1 option. God, he's one of my most frustrating players I've ever watched in my life. I know a lot of people out there like him. I can't stand him. Bring him down to Greenfield LA Fitness. Let's run.
People just like him because he got that dunk on PJ Tucker. That's the only reason people like him. There's no other reason to like him.
Well, Cam Johnson. Well, even Cam Johnson is more of a shot. He's more of an option than Ayton. Like literally, and Cam Payne got his shit beat by Bobby Portis. He got absolutely baptized. But and Cam Johnson, if he's not hitting threes, kind of worthless out there in my opinion. Crowder is completely streaky. Something Bridges, whatever his first name is, 3-and-D guy. Just a guy.
So Bridges' defense, he went 5 for 5 in the last game from the 3-point line, and they just never went to him.
Right. And so it's like it's Booker, it's Chris Paul, Cam Payne comes in the game, it's Cam Payne. Ayton is somehow finding his like 20 and 15 every night, but he's like, it's so quiet. Ayton should be a key cog in this offense. And like I said, it's embarrassing that you have a dude that's like a young David Robinson and he's just a complete role player for your team. And he happens to be really good. And so he puts up 20 and 14 just by happenstance. But I get frustrated with this Suns team because of the way they're built. Like when they're playing, I think, was it game 1 when they like made like 10 extra passes and then Ayton got an and 1 dunk and people were freaking out comparing him to like the 2014 Spurs or whatever, or 2004 Spurs. And I'm just like, dude, okay, so that works. Why don't you do that every time? Oh no, because Booker wants to just go into ISO mode. And it's when he's jacking up 30 shots a game, they're like, I walked in, I watched game 5. I missed the first quarter. I walked in, the Bucks are down 16. Right when I walked in the game, like there was a switch that flipped, and the rest of the game the Bucks just decimated them. So my apologies, Suns fans. I was the catalyst, as you were, but I guess Crowder was killing in the first like 5 minutes, and then I get in there and I don't see him shoot one time the rest of the game. And so the fact that like their shots and like just their rhythm ebbs and flows. I don't know. I never saw it with the Suns team. And even though we give Chris Paul his props in the regular season, I don't know if it's father time. I don't know if it's his wrist injuries. I don't know if he just doesn't have the chops. You know what I mean? Like honestly,
shaving points.
Or he's shaving points because his legacy is to me is like, dude, everyone's saying he probably, and I've even like he probably deserves a championship before. Like there's some unlucky injuries here and there. And like he could have potentially won a championship before this, but if you don't win this one, like Chris, you're done. You're not winning one, unless you go, well, he had the opportunity on the Rockets and the Clippers. He's blown a couple game 7s and shit like that. So he had a chance to get there.
The game 7s he's blown were in like the second round, and the one that we talked about prior.
But like he could have beat that Warriors team that one year, but didn't he get hurt?
He did, but that's to say who was gonna really beat LeBron that year.
Well, point being, he had a chance to like get to the finals and have a chance to win. And then you know, he's gotten hurt or he doesn't get to go to the Lakers with Kobe or whatever it may be. But I don't know. And before this year, like we talked about it, and I was saying too, I'm like, Chris Paul's the difference maker on this team. They're the same team, a bunch of kind of dudes, young guys, and then Chris Paul makes DeAndre Ayton a dude, and then the rest of them better. But at the same time, I'll be honest, I never was like a Chris Paul truther. I just something about his face or the way he plays. Just I'm not. I respect his game and I respect what he's done in the league, but there's something about him. He doesn't have the tinge of a winner, and I know he's not a good leader. When we're talking about all-time greats, he's been called a horrible teammate and all this stuff. He's selfish. But so when he's in his bag with that little midi, and what happened to the dude? Was it a couple series ago against Clippers? He hits a midi and he's like, "I'm a bad dude. I'm a bad like." And he runs down the court acting like, man, this is his year. Where the fuck's that been in the finals? You know what I mean? Like you're getting multiple days off between games too. There's no excuse for being old. I mean, I get it.
Today's age, like as much as we talk about today's NBA, I mean, we haven't really brought it up, but nutrition, he's a vegan. And maybe that could be part of it too. Maybe. I'm not against vegans, but I do know, and maybe you could prove me wrong with statistics, someone out there, but I don't know. I think you need certain things in the body besides just vegetables. I seen a video where a hippo was mauling a goddamn zebra. It was chomping on him, chomping his ass. And you can't sit there and tell me that fool is a vegetarian. That fool was chomping on the zebra.
I think Chris Paul needs something. He looks different in the sense that I don't know. You know what? He looks, like you said, shaving points. He looks a little disengaged at times in the game.
No, for real. Like he really picked his spots when he wanted to score. Like when he pulled up for that, like the 2 threes from the top of the key and splashed. Mm-hmm. Like that's where I was confused. I was like, you do that effortlessly, but everything else you're kind of making it look difficult, or you're not as engaged as you should be.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe he is fatigued mentally or whatever. Who knows? I really don't. But the last 3 games have been really trash from Chris Paul. But yeah.
I will say this though. I will give him I don't want to say benefit of the doubt, but after games 1 and 2, the media, us included, not live, but everyone wants to make quick judgments after like game 1 or game 2. And now the tables turn so quickly when it goes from the Suns are going to just Suns in 4 to, and Bucks have they have a big problem to, I don't think the Suns have any chance now. And so it's interesting to see how quickly, the media and shit flips on players. I know you do too, as a former hooper. Sometimes on a night you don't have it. Sometimes you really do have it. Sometimes, you're dealing with injuries, obviously, that people don't know about. Whatever the case may be with Chris Paul, he could come out next game and light it up for 40, and they're competitive, and let's say they even win. A lot of media will, how, was he tired and old then? It might just be his mental makeup. You know what I mean? Sometimes people just kind of shrink in the moment or just don't.
Maybe he's not as mentally tough as they keep trying to give him.
Right.
He's not. I mean,
it could be as simple as that.
I'm in the finals, and how do we know if he's really mentally tough? He's a bad teammate. He's had a few 3-1 leads and he dropped them. So is he really mentally tough? You know what I'm saying? Granted, it's a team sport, but the leader always takes the blame. So is he really mentally tough? I digress. Well, I guess we'll find out tomorrow and see how this all plays out. I want to go back to this Devin Booker thing real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've seen the memes of Kobe was drafted 96, 13th. Devin Booker was born in 96 or whatever. Kobe retired in 2016. Devin Booker got drafted 2016, 13th overall pick. Now, that's just coincidence. Mm-hmm. Because there's no way he's the next Kobe. Kobe was Kobe out of high school. I keep telling people this, and I'm pretty sure I've said it on previous pods, that Kobe was an all-star his second year in the league off the bench as a sixth man. I didn't win sixth man of the year, which is odd, but that's neither here nor there. But as we always talked about, maybe that was just that year. It was probably just because of media. They wanted to see Kobe and Michael play before Michael, say Kobe never got another chance to play against Michael in an all-star game or whatever. So maybe that could have been some of the media, maybe not. But regardless, he was voted in. And then on from there, he became an 18-time All-Star. Devin Booker, on the other hand, and I'm more than positive I said this on a pod, that he wasn't voted in. Both times he was an all-star. He was an all-star reserve. That means something. That means no one thought he was doing well enough to become an all-star. Even this year with his team being as high as it was, he was an all-star reserve. He wasn't voted in as an all-star. So it took Anthony Davis to get hurt for him to be an all-star. And granted, the West is a tough conference to play in because they have so many guards that are dogs. But that proves that he's not at that level. He's never going to be at that level. Granted, Kobe had Shaq, but everyone said that they saw this Jordan-esque in Kobe when he was a teen, that he just wanted to be great. I'm not saying Devin Booker doesn't have it, but there is something where they say this at a younger age, and then once you win, and he wants it even more than, what I'm saying? He wanted it even bad. Hell, you can make an argument, maybe even that New Jersey series where they both averaged 30 a game, him and Kobe and Shaq in that finals. It could have went either way as far as MVP, but it's Shaq, so you're gonna give it to Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Mm. But that's where I lay the line with Devin Booker. He is a great player. He's just no greatest of all time as far as shooting guards. He's never gonna be put in the top 5. And that's that with that. I hate people that think that he's the next Kobe, but that's just a bunch of stands who think never really watched basketball until now.
Well, who Devin Booker kind of reminds me of is Jason Tatum of the West. People keep putting Jason Tatum on this pedestal like he's a top 10 player in the NBA.
Or Kobe, yeah.
And didn't he work out with Kobe too?
For a season.
Right, so
a month.
And and he's talented too. And I don't hate him as a player, but these young guns who just look to score, I don't know. It's disrespectful to Kobe and the all-time greats to put them in their category without any accomplishments or okay, Devin Booker had 70 in a game. Great. I think they lost that game as well. And like I said, one thing that kind of irks me about Devin Booker, and I don't know if he'll change this going forward the more he matures, because he's still a super young dude. Crazy how he's got like 100 mil before he's even like 25. Or fuck, he's like 22, whatever. But
he's 24, but
is he 24?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So he signed that huge contract, right, when he was like 19 or whatever, or 20. Point being, what I can't get past is he's a good player. He's an all-star level player, but he bitches and moans like a fucking straight up bitch. I mean, like I don't know if it's this era or what. But if you have that level of ability to make shots, because he's a top 20 shot maker in the NBA.
Yeah, I was about to say he's not top 10.
No, so top 20 shot maker in the NBA. And I think it irks me. Like he says, he's a sore loser and bullshit. I saw Drew Holiday one game drove baseline, and Booker cut him off by hooking his arm. And Drew Holiday spun, and he got fouled. And Booker's like, "What? Where? What did I do?" And then Booker gets like just smacked, like with a pinky or breathed on, and he calls for a foul every time. It's like, dude, you can't. He wants fouls. He can't play defense, but yet when someone kind of leans on him like a PJ Tucker or something, he wants those calls all day long. Just be a fucking grown man, make your shots, and quit bitching. And I think I'd have way more respect for him. But he bitches so much. Same with like Luka. A lot of these young players, And it's one of the problems with USA basketball.
I was about
You
to say
know,
we should
it's
definitely
these
mention
dudes
that.
assume they're getting these certain calls and fucking go play overseas for a little bit. Like those dudes aren't giving you these touchy fouls and shit. Like they're not going to give you those pump fake bullshits. So I think the NBA has a refereeing problem. I've said this. I think they need more gay refs. They need to swallow their whistle more. And I think it's fucking the officiating's awful, and I'll give like Booker and them that. But at some point you got to just be like, yo, play the game. You know what I mean? Like you don't need every ticky tack foul. If you need that to score your 40, then you're a bitch. And by bitch, I mean like on the court in the line. He's probably a nice kid. I don't know. But as a basketball player, I don't respect players who are only bitching and moaning at fouls. On top of on the other end, if they're fouling themselves, it's completely hypocritical. Fuck out of here with that shit. Miss me with that.
I'm definitely on your side on that. But yeah, y'all know how I feel about Devin Booker. I just don't think any of that is relevant. I mean, yeah, Kobe went 7 games to 2 years, 3 years, not the 2 years, the 3. I know his last finals he won 7. Won his 4th championship. Beat them in what 5? Beat the piss out of your boy Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic, and then the Celtics end up winning, as we know, to the Lakers, beat the Lakers in the first of the 3 times going, the second 3 times he went to the finals at that run. But yeah, like he's a dog. Like Kobe's one of the greatest. So those comparisons just need to stop. There's no way he's ever going to be. Even Stephen A needs to stop that shit. But like Stephen A, his word means nothing. You know, he says stuff because he feels like it, but it's just bullshit in my opinion. But yeah, that's how I feel about all that shit.
So on a final note, do you think there's what do the Suns need to do to win game 6? As like we said, we've alluded to, we're recording this before game 6. Is there any way the Suns can, in your opinion, win the series or at least win game 6? What adjustments do you think
They need to play more. Yeah, they need to play more as a team. Like how you said, like it was evident, at least in game 5. Excuse me. They were stopping the ball a lot. They had a bunch of ball stoppers as far as you know, Booker. Chris Paul wasn't as much. It was mainly Booker. But even Cam, your boy Cam Payne and Cam Johnson, whenever they had their opportunity, they were gonna go for it. Mm-hmm. So it's just a bunch of ball stopping. They're like how we saw in the first 2 games. They played really well team ball, and I think they have to let Devin Booker be the scorer of the team when he's on, and let him take his shots. But he also needs to realize time and score, and be more of a facilitator at times.
Yes.
He's going to get his, 25, 30, maybe his 40 when he's feeling it, like that. But no, they need to pass the ball around more. How you said, get the good shot, pass the good shot out for the great shot. I do believe that. But who knows if they'll do it? I mean, we'll see. I don't think they will. I think they're going to probably let a lot of, I need to win this game, I need to get us here, that kind of shit get to them again. But, how about you? How do you feel?
Yeah, no, I think you hit it perfectly. I think one thing that I like about the Suns team, it's funny, I shit on the Suns a lot because of the smug Suns fans that I know, but I actually do like the brand of basketball they play in this era. I respected their team. And I do like the fact that they have certain roles created. Chris Paul's the facilitator, Booker's the scorer, Bridges a 3-and-D guy, same as Crowder, Ayton's the big guy who can give you 20-10. I do like the fact that they have defined roles, and when they play those roles to a T, that they can be pretty tough to beat. But and I don't know if it's the difference playing at home and on the road, or if the Bucks, all their quote unquote changes and adjustments they made really affected the Suns. But the Suns did play more team ball in the first 2 games, and passing up that first shot for a great shot, or the first available shot for a better shot. And to me, it's contagious. I don't know why you wouldn't keep doing it. And like you said, I think, perfectly, Booker, he can score, he can go get a bucket, quote, so to speak, whenever he wants. And so, but you don't have to do it every time and be a ball stopper every time you get the ball. And then again, when you have a dude doing that, the other shooters or people in their roles, when they get it, they're like, man, I'm not getting the touches, so they start jacking. And
Sure.
I think I was asked this yesterday. I see if the Bucks kind of get out to a early lead against the Suns, I can see the Bucks beating them by 30, like in Phoenix, or no, it's in Milwaukee. What am I saying? I could see them just beating the fuck out of them, because I think the Suns might snowball. Like, damn, Booker might start playing catch up, and when those shots start to not fall, 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4, 5 out of 5, you miss 1 or 2, and that's why I think the Clippers without Kawhi were so hot and cold, because when they're hitting, they're tough to beat. But the moment they start missing 1 or 2 ISO shots, and the other team goes down and capitalizes, it just compounds. All of a sudden, the 3-point deficit's a 10-point deficit, and that 10-point can get to 20 real quick too. Now, granted, you can kind of shoot yourself back into the game, but I don't know. I don't see it with the Suns team. They got away from the brand of basketball that they, were playing with early. And unfortunately for Suns fans, they're going to have to wait a long while to get that championship, unless miraculously they find a way to win in Milwaukee.
Unless they play like a team. I think that's the only way that'll ever happen. But, it's just up to them, really. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but playing in Milwaukee is going to be tough, because if Middleton and Drew Holiday hit shots, I personally think the Bucks have a better team. I don't know why. Like, people say the Suns have a better team, but I just personally disagree with that. I'm taking.
We're here in Arizona, so I think
right.
we hear it a lot.
I don't know why they're discounting the Bucks. But like you said, we'll see the moves in the offseason and shit. Let's not forget the Nets aren't going anywhere either. So next year it's going to be Nets versus somebody. So I'm glad Giannis or someone on the Suns gets a ring this year, regardless, I suppose. Yeah, like, shit, we'll see. I mean, Bucks and 6. I don't know what to say, Suns fans.
Real quick, I didn't notice. Like, I knew this, but I just didn't put it together. Chris Paul's 175. Drew Holiday is 205.
Man,
that's a big difference. So, like, that could also wear him down too, maybe. But I mean, you're supposed to be Chris Paul, this great floor leader, this pit bull of a fucking point guard. People say he's one of the top 5. If he wins a championship, top 2.
That's crazy.
Time. Some people have said that to me.
Yeah.
I don't believe he's top 5. Looking at this, if they lose this is just a strike on his, previous 3-1 blown leads. And I think that he's not as much of a leader as we all think he was or thought he was. But, great career. And that's that.
But where would you list him on the top 5? I literally just had this conversation with somebody else, and they said, where would you put Chris Paul on the all-time point guards list? I'm like, he's not top 5. Like, that's not even a thing. I don't
Isaiah Thomas would give Chris Paul word.
Isaiah Thomas is a better player.
I'm not talking about today's Isaiah. I'm talking about Zeke.
Zeke is better than Chris Paul, straight up. Like, he's just.
Oh, well, he's literally one of the top 5 point guards of all time. Hell, Magic Johnson said that he's along with one of the point guards that gave him fits in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he wasn't just a scorer either.
And he's the only player, I think, to date that we know of, maybe I could be wrong, that won a title with no all-stars on his team.
Is that true?
I think that is true. I'm not 100%, but I do. But he had no all-stars on either of those teams.
See, my thing. Okay, just a quick rundown of point guards that are better than Chris Paul: Magic, Zeke, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, John Stockton, Oscar Robertson. I think that's 5 or 6 right there.
And someone's gonna throw Steph Curry in there.
And I
say that he is better than Chris Paul, whether or not he's in that top 5 range. But Steph Curry is definitely better than Chris Paul.
And we both look at him as a 2 guard. I can't stand Steph Curry. But yes, he's better. Dame Lillard's better, in my opinion. And that's just from this era, low key.
You know what someone tried to tell me? Like I said, someone tried to tell me Chris Paul, if he won this year, and then if he won next year, he's better than Magic Johnson.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't want to go back and forth with the guy because he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And the guy's from Chicago too, but he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And I was like, all right, whatever. But for him to make that comparison, Magic couldn't shoot, which is fine. You didn't need to in that era. He was a 6'9" point guard who had vision, and no one's gonna stop him besides Scottie Pippen.
Can you imagine if Magic went up against Chris Paul? Like, if he's struggling with fucking Drew Holiday, who I like Drew Holiday a lot. I think he's a great utility. Like, I think he's a perfect kind of. We talked about those kind of perfect point.
He's a better scorer than I thought. He averaged 17 this year. I didn't know.
Yeah,
and
he's been rather streaky, sort of too, with shooting the ball. Some of these games he's shooting like 2 for 20. It's like 2 for 14. But imagine if a dude who's like 6'1" or whatever, or 6'2", whatever Drew Holiday is, 6'2", 205.
He's 6'3",
6'3", 205. What is Chris Paul doing with Magic? Like
6'9".
Dude, I'm watching that game.
25.
Right, I'm watching that game, and they started saying, "Fuck it, we're gonna do whatever." Like what LeBron does to he finds Steph Curry or someone finds the liability on D. What they would do with Steve Nash in this era, basically, is we're gonna find Chris Paul. And you're a peanut, my guy. You're a baby. You're a child.
Well, did you see like whenever if Drew
Middleton
in the post, if Giannis had him in the post,
it's
Middleton, who's a way slimmer frame than anything, and Drew Holiday is literally probably bigger than Chris Middleton.
Right.
They had him in the post. Like there's nothing you can do. Like Chris Paul is 6'2", 170, not even 6'2". He's like
he's like 6 foot.
9, 5'10".
Even if he's 6 foot. 6 foot 170.
175. Like
that's what people ask me. They're like, hey Quest, I had this absolutely ridiculous fucking argument about could I beat the worst WNBA player in the WNBA? And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole now, but I said, you need to fucking stop. Like you need to stop right now. Retired with bone spurs. You need to stop. And I told them, I said, you take the worst WNBA player. Someone said, Cheryl Swoops or Tina Thompson. I think it was Tina Thompson.
Yeah.
I said,
Cheryl Swoops, I think, considered the greatest WNBA player of all time.
Even so, and again, that's a different argument for a different pod. And I don't want to get all rowdy in the comms, but he said Tina Thompson. I said, what's her build looking like? Pulls it up, 6'2", 170. I said, I'm 6'5", 225. I don't care what girl's guarding me. I'm a point guard that's 6'5", 225. So can we stop with when you get a peanut on, Chris Paul is a legitimate peanut in today's NBA because he doesn't have and he also, being old, he doesn't have the gusto, like the acceleration quickness that he used to have either. And that's just Father Time, and that's not against him. Yeah. But all he has is, in his defense in the post, is just right when they do the drop step, he can swipe. And I know a lot of small dudes from like LA Fitness who they get a bigger dude on them and they just go for that ball swipe. And if they miss it, you score. If they get it, they strip you or they foul you. Yeah. That's his only defense in the post. And so Chris Paul is low-key a complete liability, and the Bucks know it now. And so I don't know how the Suns fans think they could just keep trotting him out there to let him do this shit. Bucks and 6. Fuck, that's what we're saying. But yeah, so I noticed that too. He's a pea green, as we call it on 2K. And Drew Holiday's, he's not a slouch. I would say
he's really good. Just because he's probably played on really bad teams, probably since fucking he was in UCLA. That's probably the last good team he was on. And I never really thought of him as being that. Like when the trade thing happened, I was like, really, they're praising Drew Holiday this well, but he's proven it now. He just needed a few pieces. He just needed to be in the right system, and what he brings to the table is a lot, as we can see.
Was he our draft class? Was he our?
No, he was a year before us.
Year before, that's right. Because I used to compare. Tyreek Evans was in that.
Yeah.
6'3", 205. Like he's a good player. I remember seeing him in the rankings coming up. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's Bucks and 6. This is. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
All y'all Suns fans out there. Sorry.
But yeah, so go ahead and tell us how good of a job we're doing.
Or how shitty of a shooter Devin Booker is. Let us know.
For sure.